Charlie Kirk's tour will return to Utah today. Turning Point USA is coming to Utah State University and will, at the Utah State University attendees will hear from, boy, am I a mess today. The Utah State University attendees will hear from Senator Mike Lee, Governor Spencer Cox, former Utah Representative Jason Chaffetz, and Arizona Representative Andy Biggs. Here's KSL News Radio's Alexandria Bonilla with more on this event at USU.
The university says they were already planning to have increased security. Turning Point USA chapter president Caitlin Griffiths tells KSL TV the news of the American Comeback Tour stopping at the school was not taken well by everyone.
We already had talked with campus security and the local police about how it was going to need intense security. There was a lot of protests on campus originally when they heard that Charlie Kirk was coming.
USU released a statement about the event saying it will be held inside and they plan on working with local authorities to keep it safe and calm. The tours hosted different speakers for each campus since Kirk's murder at Utah Valley University. Tonight, event goers will hear from Senator Mike Lee, Governor Spencer Cox, former Utah Representative Jason Chaffetz, and Arizona Representative Andy Biggs. Alexandria Bonilla, KSL News Radio.
We did reach out to USU for an interview. They declined, but my co-host Dave Colley has looked into what level of security they have there, and what are you learning?
Well, okay, here's the thing, Greg. USU wouldn't talk to us, but they did send us a link to this, I guess you'd call it an article detailing their security measures, and I was reading through here trying to get a real sense of what is this going to look like, right? If somebody's going to this event and they are concerned about safety and security, what should they expect? And I got to this paragraph. I just have to read this for you. This is verbatim. It says, USU's Department of Public Safety has robust security plans for events on USU's campus that meet industry standards and best practices. These measures include comprehensive threat assessments, detailed security planning, deployment of diverse safety resources, effective crowd management, close protection for the speaker, clear communication and coordination, and readiness for crisis response. So let's try to tease out what any of that actually means.
What it means is, AI, write me a paragraph on security and use some big words. So what it means is you should feel some comfort that they've got, robust security. They've got it figured out. I in fairness to Utah State, and it would have been nice had they joined us today, but there is a high level of security for something like this. It's not the first event from Charlie Kirk's organization since he was killed, but it's the first Utah event, and so that you would expect there to be some higher level of security. This one is indoors. I think it's at the Civic Center, the what's it called, where they play basketball?
Right.
Yeah, the Spectrum, and so that gives law enforcement and security at least a more confined area that they have to secure than rooftops and things like that. But still, that can hold a lot of people too. And you'd expect metal detectors. You'd expect a lot of things. What you just read is about as vague as it could be.
And to be fair, if you are somebody who is designing the security plan, you probably don't want to broadcast to the world, here's everything that we're doing, so that somebody reading between the lines can maybe see the gaps in your coverage, right? But yes, I did have to roll my eyes a little bit when further down in this paragraph it says, these protocols are data-driven, scenario-based, and multi-tiered. Okay, but my question is, if I'm going to this event, what size bag am I allowed to bring? Does it need to be, so... Anyway, if anyone wants to go to this event, if they're planning to go up there, and you do have questions, there are some specifics, I will say, on the USU website that you can look into. They did send us some information that said, yes, backpacks and bags, there are some dimensions that will not be allowed, so larger than about 6.5 by 4.5 inches. If you're bringing that bag in, not going to go. You can have a small purse. They don't want people bringing in all kinds of political signs, stuff like that. So... And also there was a lot of, I think, talk about the fact that, they're going to be putting people through metal detectors, as you said. And, if you are right or wrong, if you're concerned about your safety, there are laws that govern where you can take firearms in the state of Utah. All that still applies here, right?
Yeah, I was surprised at that, though, because, and I appreciate what you just said. I'm reading another detail that they posted and I don't know if I'm reading this correctly. It says everyone going to the event will pass through magnetometers. Individuals who bring a firearm must follow Utah law for firearms on campuses and possess a Utah concealed carry permit. I would have expected, Dave, that they would just flat out ban firearms. I mean, there would be no reason. Maybe there is a reason, because we did pass some legislation that allows for the carrying of firearms on our campuses. But for an event like this, especially given what's going on here, I mean, so you can walk in with a firearm as long as you show them your concealed carry permit. I'm surprised that maybe they felt like they had no choice with Utah law.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing. If you go back into history, famously a number of years ago, there was a big tug-of-war between the University of Utah and the state legislature. The University of Utah that wanted to essentially ban carrying of concealed weapons on campus, and the legislature saying that the university did not have the authority to do that. And so it is written into state code what you as a Utahn carrying a concealed carry permit are allowed to do in regards to carrying a weapon on college campuses. So I read that in this statement as kind of an acknowledgement that, the university cannot on its own tell you that you can't bring a concealed weapon if you're doing so legally according to the law in the state of Utah. So I think the idea there being, look, if you're planning on doing that, you better be really up to speed on what the law is. And maybe there's a more common sense argument here to say, if you are having all of these, data-driven, multi-tiered, however they want to phrase it, security measures, think to yourself about whether or not bringing a weapon into that environment, even if you're legally allowed, is the smartest thing.
Yeah. And I'm sure people will still, because some people feel like that's a necessity and they feel more comfortable with that. Like you say, backpacks and bags larger than 6.5 by 4.5 inches, that's a really small bag, will not be allowed. Purses no larger than 6.5 by 4.5 will be searched, and no outside signs allowed, and no reentry. In other words, once you leave, you're not coming back in. Yeah. So that's interesting. I did want to follow up with one other thing, Dave, before we take a break. Yesterday, the alleged killer of Charlie Kirk appeared in court. That was Tyler Robinson. He appeared for the virtually. He did not. He wasn't there in person, but his attorneys appeared, and his new court-appointed attorneys appeared. They indicated to the judge that they weren't ready to do anything yet. They asked for 30 days. They're coming back the end of October. The state indicated that it was providing what's called discovery, so they're going to get all the information. It's quite voluminous. And so I just wanted to answer a question that a lot of people have been asking me, which is, hey, the evidence seems to be fairly compelling. Mm-hmm. Why are we going through all this? And I would just say this, having practiced law for 43 years, that he's presumed innocent. The defense does want to see the evidence. They want to make sure that the state has a case, a strong case, before they do anything. Will there be a preliminary hearing in this case? Some people said, why have a preliminary hearing? The evidence is overwhelming. Because you still want to see what the evidence is, and the defense may want to review that, and so they may schedule a preliminary hearing. Yesterday they indicated that they will, but that will probably be, since the next hearing is the end of October, talking about maybe a preliminary hearing in December or later. But we're talking months down the road. And I know we're sort of digressing from the USU thing, but I just wanted to let our listeners know that there's some updates on that particular situation.
And I appreciate you saying that, Greg, because I think one of the challenges that we face in such a public event like this is remembering we don't have the whole picture yet. And right. There are rules about what can be admitted into evidence in court, and the process is important.
Right. And you have a case like this, especially a death penalty case, that we're going to be revisiting 5, 10, 15, 20 years from now. We actually have a case we're going to talk about after the break that you know a lot about, a 40-year-old death penalty case. We're going to learn more from Dave Cawley about that after the break.